You are a world champion in the 2,000-meter event from last year, and you've competed in lots of indoor rowing competitions. Can you tell us, how did you come to find the indoor rowing machine, and what made you really fall in love with it?
I was always very into sports, different sports. And in 2016, I started doing CrossFit. And involving the CrossFit, there was the rowing machine. And after a while, I realized that I could pull the splits like the big boys do next to me. So this got me very interested into the sports. And I started to do some online competitions and started to log my results and see the rankings and realize that I'm actually like to be found in the top spots in my age group. So this got me going.
That's great. And did that ever transition to you rowing in a boat? Have you ever been on the water?
I always wanted to get on the water. The problem is I want to get on the water in a, I don't want to do it in a professional way straight away, but I want to do it with a great coach and like in a proper way. So the next place for me to try that would be the regatta in Munich, where Olli Zeidler trains as well. And this is a 1.5 hour drive from my place. So it would take me 3 hours just to drive there, and then the training on top. And this was just not possible for me in the last years. But I would love to try, actually.
Just to provide a little bit of context, can you tell us where you're from and how long have you been indoor rowing and how long have you been competing?
So I'm from Rosenheim. This is right in the middle between Munich and Salzburg, so next to the Bavarian Alps. And I started with the indoor rowing in 2017. So this was the year where I started to do my first competitions. And yeah, there were some ups and downs since then. I had a few breaks, but since 2017, I would say I am competing in the indoor rowing.
In 2019, you were one of only 8 female competitors selected to race at the World Urban Games. And I want to talk to you a little bit about that event because it was a really unique competition format. It didn't follow the sort of traditional 2,000-meter race format. Can you tell us about that experience and about these sort of non-traditional race formats?
Yes, I was very, very happy when I received the invitation for the World Urban Games. And for me, this was a very special weekend. I loved it all the way through. And I am actually a great fan of the non-traditional pieces. So because it adds a little bit of tactics, and I think rowing is a very smart sport as well. So the moment where you have to think about pacing and where you want to go fast or where you should slow down a little bit. So all these tactics, I love it. And I love to count splits. So this was totally my event.
For the sake of everyone that's watching, can you explain a little bit what was the World Urban Games and what kind of events that you raced there?
So we met in Budapest for the World Urban Games, which was like the World Championships for non-Olympic sports. And the indoor rowing was a showcase at that point. And we had 2 workouts each day for 3 days, and they were all very different. And one of my favorite ones was actually the one where the social media could choose for 6K between, I think it was 14 strokes per minute or 36 strokes per minute. And I can remember very well that the days leading up to the World Urban Games, I got a little bit sick. So I had like a very light flu. And I was just thinking about doing a 6K at 36 strokes per minute, I said, if they choose the 36, I won't be doing it. But so we came to Budapest and we had to do it on 14 strokes per minute. And I was very happy about that. I love power strokes. Yeah. So, and just the whole group, we came very close together. So it was 8 girls, ladies, and 8 guys. And we were very tight and very friendly with each other. So, of course, there was the competition, but then it was always like the social, yeah, happening actually.
I know that you play a lot of different sports. You said that you were a CrossFitter. I know that you also ride horses, and you said you played handball. How do you think playing multiple sports improves or affects your training on the rowing machine?
I think the more sports you do, the better you know your body. And I think it's very important for you to know where your body is moving and how to create the tension so you can transfer the pressure onto the machine. And doing a lot of sports, I mean, it keeps you fit and the machine will give you overall fitness as well. But the more you do as physical interaction, the better you know your body and how to work on it. So I think I improve my rowing through things like CrossFit. So I gain the strength and everything. But then at the same time, the rowing gives me endurance for other sports. So it's a great accomplishment.
And let's talk about what you do outside of work. I know that you are outside. Let's redo that question. Let's talk about what you do outside of rowing. I know that you work full time. Can you tell us a little bit about your day-to-day life and how do you balance that with training?
Yes, so I started to work for UPS last year because I was working with horses before. I was a horse riding instructor, but through COVID, I had to stop teaching because sports is restricted and it was a very hard time for me. So I started working at UPS, which is a lot of fun actually. And at the same time, it's a hard job. So I do preload in the morning, I load the cars, heavy boxes, and then after I go for delivery as well. And there are days where I have walked between 15 and 20 kilometers in the morning in the so until lunchtime. And when I get home, I want to eat. So sometimes go to get on the rower and do some training, it's the least thing on my mind. But of course, it still has to be done.
Can you tell us a little bit about the training and preparation that you do in the weeks and days leading up to an indoor competition like the World Rowing Indoor Championships?
Yes, I think my training is a little bit different maybe to other rowers' training. So because I do CrossFit usually like 3-4 times a week, I would usually add on 2 or 3 rowing trainings. But if I come up to a championship, I would stop doing CrossFit and I will concentrate on my rowing. So I usually get like 3 or 4 workouts per week from my coach. And I will do this leading up to a competition. But in general, I must say that my meters are very low if I compare them to other rowers.
You learned rowing from a CrossFit gym, and many of the people that are racing today learned rowing from a rowing club or from a school team. Can you tell us what resources you would recommend for rowers that aren't necessarily learning how to indoor row from a traditional rowing team and they want to learn how to row from home or at their gym?
There are very good videos to find on YouTube, for example. So, like the dark horse rowing from Shane Farman. He has created a lot of videos where you can actually watch and listen to the explanation of the rowing technique and everything around the rower. And the community actually grew a lot in the last years. So there are many different coaches that will provide a training program. And I think like even the community itself, there are Facebook groups where you can talk to each other, where you can actually like put in videos and let them have a look at your technique. And you always get a great feedback. So there are many ways actually that you can do it at home and still improve.
Great. Well, Anna, thank you so much for joining me today and speaking to me. I'll let you get back to training. I see you have your rowing machine behind you. But good luck racing in the World Rowing Indoor Championships. And I hope to see you race and do really, really well.
Thank you. Bye.
Okay, great.